And welcome back to ToryTalks Super Mario RPG. We're on our way to Mushroom Way. Let's do it! So I want to... Oh, what? I went into my thing. I want to talk about Bell Hooks today. Bell Hooks is an individual that I've just begun to read. Bell Hooks is the pen name of Gloria Jean Watkins, who is a social activist and feminist author. And I've been interested in feminism recently, and I had a friend of mine suggest I read a book called Feminism is for Everyone by Bell Hooks. And I'm about a third of the way through it so far, and it's really just blown my mind in a really good way. I just really enjoy the angle, Max! The angle that Hooks comes at. Basically, in the beginning she says, so there have been all these scholarly works about feminism and just really elucidating a lot of the ideas that comes with that movement. But she says that she goes and she talks to people and she just wishes that she had something she could hand people, like something she could just pull out of her back pocket and say, hey, read this. It's not a scholarly journal. It's not a thing that you've got to have a PhD to understand. And that was perhaps a potential weakness of some feminist literature, was that it was created by and to some extent for individuals of academic privilege. So she kind of wrote this little primer on feminism. It's called Feminism is for Everyone, and the whole concept is the idea of oh, I was trying to get coins. The idea is that feminism is not anti-man, and I think a lot of people, especially conservatives who haven't really, she says they kind of got their ideas of feminism third hand. And they've not really experienced an individual who was, you know, a real feminist. Oh man, I really gotta, come on, oh boy, there we go. That they think that feminism is anti-man, and that's not true. Feminism is anti-sexism, and the goal is to create an equal system for all genders, for all people who you know, want to be a part of the who want to be a part of the world, and who like their goal is to be accepted and to be a part of society and to be somebody whose opinion matters. So sexism is a barrier to that. I'm going to try to use some special here. Nice! Sexism is a barrier to people being equal, and feminism is a way of overcoming that barrier. She wants to kind of set aside a lot of the things. There's this kind of in popular culture, there's this idea that feminists are they're anti-man, and they're all lesbians, and they're all radical and want to destroy the traditional family structure, and all these things that just really aren't true. And I think they're sort of myths propagated by people who were, frankly, whose privilege is threatened by the prospect that everyone is equal. You know, white males with a lot of money. Oh, power up. What should I choose, guys? I always like to go attack up, especially because there's a boss coming up that's pretty difficult. Phew! My life was flashing before my eyes. Oh, here's a little something. Dude, you didn't have to do that. That's so nice of you. Thanks. So anyway, she talks about solidarity among women is one of the things that she talks about. That a barrier to getting feminism out there and understood is that some women have taken advantage of feminist movement, and they've gotten advantages from it, but not because they've necessarily been a part of it. They've just kind of been caught up along with it, and they've gained advantages and then used that to kind of perpetuate, I don't want to say perpetuate, because that kind of implies a sort of intentionality. But really what they're doing is they're taking advantage and not putting anything into the movement. The original way that this was overcome was they were almost like these, she mentions AA meetings. And they weren't AA meetings like, I'm a recovering feminist or something, but this sort of like, there's a place where everyone's equal, where there's no leader. Everyone has an opinion that matters, and they'd sit in these groups, like these support groups, and go around and talk about what is it like to be a woman, and how does culture kind of privilege other people over me, and how can I work with you guys, my sisters, you guys, man, I can't. How do I work with you individuals, who are my sisters, to overcome systemic sexism? And then that kind of died away, and you had a lot of people that were involved in the movement but weren't necessarily committed to that idea. It made me think a lot about some of my experiences. I did a lot of theater in college. And if you know anything about the theater landscape, there's not a lot of straight males. It's lots and lots of women, more women than men. And typically more gay men than straight men. So it was, I was in the minority, being a male that was a part of theater, and it was interesting to see how often the women felt like they had to compete against one another. That everybody was friends and we all hung out and everything, but there's this very palpable sense that all the women had to compete with one another. Oh, that was a close call. Oh, you sweet little toad. And that's what Bell Hook's idea of women competing with each other reminded me of. You got all these girls that are trying to get parts in the same play, and there's 12 girls and 4 parts. And somebody's always going to be left out. And I'm not saying that our directors or whatever were sexist or it's just that was a situation of numbers, but you often saw a lot of them sort of pitting each other, pitting women against other women, because that was who you were in contact with, or who you were in conflict with, in order to gain things. And I think that's a really interesting microcosm of the way the world works. If there is a, male hegemony is helped by the fact that women compete with other women. And when women don't act in solidarity with one another, they kind of unwittingly help men continue a systemic injustice. Yeah, it's just really wild stuff from Bell Hooks. I am indebted to Alan Hooker for introducing to me, oh boy, the Hammer Brothers, for introducing to me Bell Hooks, and I'm really enjoying this. So I'd like to come back to this at a later episode, but right now, gotta fight the Hammer Bros. Oh, this is a tough fight. So, you shouldn't have done that! No. Undo. Okay, there we go. Oh, I probably shouldn't whistle into the microphone. That's probably really abrasive. Oh man, I did not time those well. Let's try and get this guy. Boom! Nice. All right. Good. That's going to give me a turn. It's going to put his defense and attack up. I've got one more. Nice. Yep. So anyway, yeah, I really recommend that you go read Feminism is for Everybody. I've loved it so far. And I think it's just a really good way to get out the idea that, like, feminism is not about hating on dudes. it's not about trying to make women better than men. It's about trying to make everybody, it's a system of equality. And I think that that's really important. I read Sarah Bessey's Jesus Feminist, and the subtitle of that book is talking about the idea, the radical notion that women are people too. And I heard someone criticize that and say, like, no one's ever said that women aren't people. And I think that's true, but we certainly act like it. We act like women aren't quite as much people as men are. And I felt like this was kind of a really cool... I really don't like the word secular, because I don't know that... I think that's a false dichotomy between like the secular and spiritual. But it's sort of like a secular Jesus feminist. You know, this idea that like, hey, feminism is about equality. It's not about making women better than men. So yeah, picked up the hammer. That's gonna be really big moving forward. And it looks like that's it for this particular episode of Tory Talks Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. So we'll see